Господин Робинсон, прежде всего позвольте сказать спасибо, что нашли время после этих 5 часов невероятной работы для того, чтобы дать мне интервью. Это действительно потрясающе. Ну, как вы нам и сказали, я все это делаю со страстью и с энергией. И я могу ответить на ваш вопрос. Вы же о нем очень часто спрашиваете на своих лекциях. Я делаю ровным счетом так, как вы сегодня и сказали. Я все делаю со страстью. Хорошо, давайте начнем наше интервью. Несколько лет назад коучинг был чем-то совершенно новым для России. Сейчас вы приехали в Россию, билеты были распроданы в момент, вас считают большой звездой. Скажите, пожалуйста, знали ли вы, что для нас это что-то новое?
Yes, well, there wasn't coaching in the U.S. either. I started coaching because when I started, which was 41 years ago, I started when I was 3, just kidding. There was no coaching, it was only therapists, and you had to go to school and be a therapist. And I didn't want to do that because I felt that this style in which therapy worked was good in some cases, but some cases it took too long. And I knew I could help people change in an hour or less. And so I did an impossibles practice. I went out and said, if you've been in therapy for years and you still don't have results, I'll have it 1 hour, 1 session, or you pay me nothing. I took on people that nothing changed for. So I took on phobias and I took on people addicted to drugs. And I learned so many tools to do that. And then I was doing, 12, 14 sessions a day. And I wanted to help millions of people, so I started saying I got to do it in groups, and I did it in small groups, and then it got bigger. And then when the media interviewed me, they said, "Are you a motivator?" And I said, "No, I don't believe in just enthusiasm. I believe in strategy. I believe in intelligence, but I also believe in energy. Without energy, you don't follow through. People have great ideas, but they don't do anything with it." So I said, I thought about my own life, and I said, I was an athlete, and I thought, the people that affected me the most were coaches, and they weren't better than me. That's what I liked. I'm not better than anybody, I know that, but they have certain expertise. And because I'm in the game, they can see things I don't see, and they can help me. And also my coaches really loved me, they cared for me. And so to me, that became the metaphor. And I said, I'm a coach. And they go, well, you're not coaching a sports team. I said, no, but I'm coaching people. And in the beginning, for the first probably 7 years, people was like, what is this coaching thing? You're not a coach. And then I started working with sports teams and working with coaches. And then I was on Larry King, a very famous show in the United States at the time. And he said, what is this coach thing? I was almost about to give up the term coach because they were all making fun of it. And then about, a year after that, everybody was a coach. Therapists called them coaches, business called them coaches. So yes, I'm aware that it's relatively new here, but worldwide coaching has become a giant industry. And I'm really proud to have helped start it.
Но здесь это что-то необычное. Мы только начинаем.
Yes, I understand.
И сегодня, мне кажется, вы изменили отношение к коучингу в России.
I'm glad.
Вы чувствуете это?
Oh, I love the people. I mean, they were so kind today. They started out very quiet, as you know, kind of reserved, but I think when people feel you're truly sincere, that you're not trying to make them do something, that you want to serve them, you can't fake that for 5 hours. People see it, and when they see it's sincere, and also when they feel the power of it, it excites them. And you saw what happened in the room; it completely changed. So I feel really grateful that I've been able to serve, and I want to thank all the Russian people that came and all the people that helped to bring me here, because it's not me; it's a team of people that made it happen, and I'm very, very grateful.
Очевидно, что часть аудитории вас здесь достаточно хорошо знает. И все же, скажите, пожалуйста, могли бы ли вы вспомнить места, где вас теплее всего принимали, где вас лучше всего знают, и где вас не так хорошо принимали? Вообще такое бывает?
Sure. I mean, the first time I went to China or Japan or some, different cultures, they don't know what to think at first. And I don't come in and become an American. I come in and we're all human. We have human needs. And while we have different cultures, the needs don't change. We all want love. We all want certainty. We all want to feel our life is significant or meaningful. We all want to grow. We all want to contribute. So by focusing on the human needs, I've been able to work in 100 countries around the world, and there's no country where we haven't found enthusiasm. Iran to, to America. It doesn't matter where it is, right?
I can say that Можно сказать, что вы способны менять страны.
I don't know about changing countries, but people change countries. So if you help people, they become leaders that change their communities and their countries.
Слушайте, еще одна важная вещь. Но вы же знаете, что многие коучи, на удивление, бедны. Но вы полная противоположность. Вы невероятно успешный и богатый человек. Итак, что нужно, чтобы стать Тони Робинсом? Что должен сделать коуч, чтобы быть настолько успешным в вашей профессии?
Well, I didn't start out to become financially successful. That wasn't my goal. I just love people. And I started with myself. I needed to change myself. So I think the mistake coaches make is they want to go learn and work on other people. I worked on me. I still work on me. There's always something to grow. There's always something to become stronger, better in some way. And because I worked on me and it worked, I had power and certainty that I could help others because I'd done it. If you haven't done it yourself, you can go to a class and learn coaching, you won't be there. I think the second thing is you can't do it to be famous, you got to do it to serve. If you're doing it to serve and you really love people and care about people, as the years go, but I've been doing this is my 41st year. I came to Russia the first time in, 1983 when I was 23 years old. I was invited by the Soviet government to come here, when it was still the Soviet Union. I was invited with a group of scientists because they were interested in what I was doing with firewalking and some of my work in the physiology and working with the US Army. And so I came here and I traveled with a group from here all the way to Siberia and back, and I spent a week here. I bought a map, a Soviet map, and I was on the Siberian Railway for many days, and I laid out the plan of how I was gonna change the world with all these goals, and I went back and did it. So this is where it began for me. And then I came again about 9 years later in 1992, when you'd become the Russian Federation. And I was invited to come because I'm a pilot. I flew MiG jets here. I flew a high-level interceptor at 76,000 feet with your top pilot. I looked up and saw the space. I looked down and saw the sunshine. I saw the curvature of the earth. I went almost twice the speed of sound. I went to Space City and I did your zero gravity thing and so forth. So this is my first time back since then, so in 25 years. So to walk around and see the beauty of the people and what the country has become is just so heartfelt because it's changed so much in so many ways. It's just gorgeous. You have so much to be proud of here in Russia.
Oh, thank you.
Это очень приятно слышать. Я читала, что вы встречались с Горбачевым.
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yeah, really?
Yes. I worked with him. There was a meeting with President George Bush Sr., not George W. Bush, his father, and it was after 1989 when the wall had fallen, and Mr. Gorbachev and Ms. Mitterrand and Mr. Mitterrand from France and Maggie Thatcher from England and Mr. Bush all called me and said, there's 100 people gathering to figure out where we're going to go with the world in the next 10 years since the wall's fallen, and you were selected as one of the 100. And then Mr. Bush said to me, he's the one called, he said, where are you going to be 3 days before this? And I said, I'll be in New York. He said, well, Mr. Gorbachev's going to be there. Could you give him a flight on your plane? And I said, are you kidding? So my number one goal when I got on the plane is I wanted to know what ended the Cold War. Because as you know, between our countries, and it's a little bit challenging right now, but nothing like back then. And we were at each other's throats. It was a bad time. And so I asked him, what ended the Cold War? And Mr. Gorbachev gave me an answer I could tell he'd given many times. And I said, no. I want to know what was the moment the Cold War ended in your mind? And he thought for a while, and then he started laughing and hitting his knee like this, really like a little boy. It was so funny. And he said, I will tell you the moment. He said, Mr. Reagan was lecturing me. He was telling us we were the evil empire. And I was lecturing him on the evils of capitalism. And we were fighting and verbally, and it was really mad. And he goes, and all of a sudden in the middle, he goes, I was so mad. He got up, he stood up and walked 3 steps away. And then he walked back and said, can we start fresh? Are you Mikhail? My name is Ron. And he said, and they both laughed. And he said, you knew you could trust this man. And then he said, Reagan knew that Gorbachev loved children. And so for the first time, Reagan sent all these children, he put them in Mr. Gorbachev's hands to take around Russia, and that started the bond. So I got a chance to not only meet Mr. Gorbachev and visit with him, I got to know him over the years, but also to hear the moment he thought that the Cold War ended, which to me is one of the most important moments in our country's history, maybe in the world's history in the last 50 years or 100 years.
That really sounds so amazing, unbelievable, really.
Это действительно звучит потрясающе, невероятно. Не могу не спросить у вас о том, что всех волнует. Я имею в виду, очень трудно научиться вдохновлять людей. Что вдохновило вас влиять на жизнь других людей? Все, о чем вы мне здесь рассказываете, подчинено цели вдохновлять людей на жизнь свершения. Почему стоит делать жизнь других людей лучше? Почему других людей нужно стимулировать быть богаче, а не сконцентрироваться, например, на себе самом, чтобы стать таким же богатым, как Джефф Безос? Ведь люди думают именно так. Вы не согласны со мной? Они думают, я хочу быть более успешным, потому что это будет делать меня более счастливым.
Yes, but if you meet the most successful people, they're not all happy, so it's just not true. Problems and happiness have no relationship. You can have big problems and be happy. You can have great success and be unhappy. So it's an illusion. And I find it very empty if you don't have something that's meaningful. To me, what makes people happy is growing and giving. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how many people think, respect you or like you, or how many trophies you get, or Academy Awards. If you don't keep growing, you will not be happy. And if you grow, you have something to give. And you know, most human beings say human beings are selfish. I think we can all be selfish. I can be selfish, we can all be selfish. But that's not what our nature is, human beings. What makes us most happy is if you have a great experience of something that really is beautiful and you love it, what's the first thing you want to do? Share it with someone you love. Why? Because when you share it, it grows. So I find that, I've done very well financially in business because at one stage of my life I said I really want to build businesses because it was another tool to master, and I wanted to show people I can do that too. I'm not just some guy on the stage who can speak. So I have 51 businesses now. We do $6 billion a year in sales, and there are a variety of businesses. A stem cell company, I own the #1 resort in Fiji I built from scratch. I own a soccer team, the LAFC and the MLS in America. So I have all these different pieces, and I like the stimulation of them. But I'm not like doing them just so I can make money, because that's pretty empty. There are lots of people who made a lot of money and they kill themselves. It's really about meaning. What is meaningful for you? And what is meaningful for me is to see people's lives change. Like, I have all these companies and all these things, but this is where I spend most of my time, is because this is more fulfilling. So I like building businesses. I love the idea of creating them, but all my businesses are companies that change people's lives in some way. Stem cells are revolutionary in the world right now. Going to Fiji is magnificent. People's lives change. Going to a sporting event lifts people up. So I like to build companies that just aren't companies, but that also provide joy and passion and aliveness and inspiration or growth. And those are the things that give me juice. But everyone has to find what is it for them. It's different for everybody. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to go make money too, but I find if you get in business just to make money, you don't usually make a lot. And if you do, very often, well, you made a lot of money, but what's happening with your kids? What are you doing for your community? What's going to fulfill you? It's got to be more than money. Money's not enough. Don't get me wrong, money's a beautiful gift. But I did this when I had no money, and I've done it when I have plenty of money. I do it all the time. It's because it's what fulfills me.
Thank you. I think that a lot of...
Спасибо. Я надеюсь, что многие, кто увидит нас в будущем, разделят с вами эти чувства.
Well, I got to tell you, I did a book called Money Master the Game, where I interviewed 50 of the most powerful, richest people on earth. Warren Buffett, Carl Icahn, Ray Dalio, the biggest in the history of the world. And I got to tell you, I learned so much from them. They're so brilliant. But out of those 50, there's probably, I don't know, maybe 8, 9, or 10 that are really happy. And so I look at that and say, gosh, success without fulfillment to me is failure. And I'm not being disrespectful anyway. They built things no one else has built. But most of those people call me not just to help them with their business. They say they want me to help them with their business, but then I help them with their lives as well. Because, gosh, if you've got all this money and then your wife and you don't have aliveness, or your kids aren't connected, or you don't feel connected to your community, it's very, very limiting. And I don't want a limited life. I want an open life.
We all
Смотрите,
have
у
role
всех у нас
models.
есть образцы для подражания. Всем интересно, кто является вашей ролевой моделью. Кто, например, может вам сказать после выступления: «Посмотри, Тони, это выступление было так себе, надо лучше Тони». Кого в таком случае слушаете?
No one will ever say that to me.
Действительно.
Because I push myself more than anyone else could push me. But my role models growing up were people like John F. Kennedy, because I felt he cared about people so much, and he had vision. He said, we're going to go to the moon in the next 10 years. He didn't know how, but he knew we were going to do it. Dr. King, Martin Luther King, he believed that if a man hasn't found something he's willing to die for, then he's not fit to live. And I believe that's true. You have to have something you care about more than yourself. That's what makes life so big. But in my life today, I have a series of very successful people that are my dear friends for 25 or 30 years that I coached, but I'm not dumb enough to coach them. I learned from them. So I have a friend named Peter Guber he's got 52 Academy Awards. He ran Sony, Columbia, TriStar. He owns the Golden State Warriors NBA basketball team. He owns the LA Dodgers. And he's now in his 70s, and he's just one of the most passionate, creative, genius people. So we go back and forth. We coach each other back and forth. I have a friend who runs one of the largest digital type companies in America and around the world, Salesforce, Mark Benioff. And he started that company from nothing. I was with him in the beginning, and now it's doing $11 billion a year, and it's the back end for Coca-Cola and for GE and for Facebook and for Apple. So I'm around people that are so smart. I love wickedly smart people, and I love to learn from them, and I love to contribute to them any way I can.
На самом деле у вас, конечно, невероятная энергетика. Когда человек находится рядом с вами, он начинает себя чувствовать очень сильным. Думаю, в этом ваш феномен. Я чувствую сейчас так много энергии, что хочу встать и начать делать что-то прямо сейчас. Рядом с вами просто невозможно сидеть в такой позе.
And what did you see out there? What did you see when we started versus the end?
I was jumping.
Слушайте, я прыгала так сильно, как никогда не прыгала в своей жизни ни на одном концерте из-за вас, потому что вы это сделали. Возвращаясь к России, вы читаете русских писателей, знаете ли русскую
Of course,
литературу?
Tolstoy. I mean, everyone reads the core. But I have a special connection to Russia because of that trip early in my life. I mean, I was here. It was the Soviet Union, and And I saw both the beauty of what was going on, and I also saw the limits of it. And it's been so beautiful. I mean, the Russian people have been through so much over the ages, so much tough times, but it's made them so strong. And when Russian people come to my programs in London and America and all things, they fly and they go to them. And I love having them because they have such intensity. So you have a culture here that I love. So it isn't just one person or one author. I think it's a culture that's misunderstood in America, unfortunately. And I hope that our countries can come closer together because we have more in common, truthfully, than we don't. We're cultures that are about growth. We're about finding a way. We're about pushing through the limits. That's why Russia is such a powerful country. That's why America became a powerful country. So I'm proud of my own country, but I learn from every culture I go into. And this culture is filled with passion and strength.
I asked you because, you know, in Russian...
Я почему спросил вас про русскую литературу? Потому что в русской литературе очень много говорится о ощущении собственной вины. Может быть, в некоторой степени о самоуничижении. Вы про это знаете? Как вы вообще к этому относитесь?
Yes. But it's like when you're growing up, there are different stages. So that self-guilt can be a monitor so that you're not abusive, you're not mean, or you don't get too much ego. I think it's good for that. But also, if you know, in life, we have to grow. And so as we grow, hopefully you don't need guilt anymore. Now it's more love that drives you. Guilt can keep you from doing bad things, or love can make you just do the right thing. And I think love and passion and joy and service don't have a downside. The only problem with guilt is it lowers your energy. Yeah. And then it also sometimes creates self-hatred. So its intent is really good. But I find instead of guilt, how about just honesty and truth and love and passion, and let those be your guides? And I think, you know, not all Russian people, all American people, any people are not one type. You know, if you look out there, those 26,000 people, there's so many different types of people. That's what I love. But we all want more. Yeah. You know, we want more joy, more love, more connection. That's part of being human. And so I try to, whatever culture I enter, I like to learn from the culture, but I love to also take from this culture and this one and teach them what are the human needs that are universal.
I like your example.
Мне очень понравился ваш пример, показанный на сцене про идеального клиента, идеального покупателя. Я хочу в свою очередь спросить у вас, скажите, а кто ваш идеальный слушатель?
Anybody who wants to change or improve, like anybody who wants to grow, anybody that's not willing to settle for less than they can do, be, share, create, or give. Anyone in business, because I know how to help businesses grow dynamically in a short time. And so, but it needs to be somebody that has a hunger for more. You know, I work with people that are the best in the world, and I work with people that are in challenging times, both extremes. And the best in the world always seek me out because the reason that they're the best is they're always looking for that little thing that can change it all, take another level. They're always hungry, they never lose it. Or you might be hungry because you're starting a new project or a new business. Or you might be hungry because you have a birthday with a 0 on it and you look at life differently. Or you might be hungry because you had a divorce and you want to change your life. Hungry people, people that won't settle, those are my people because I can show them how.
Какое будущее вы видите для России через 6 лет? Как вы думаете?
6 years? I have no idea.
Ну, вы видели большое количество людей, 26 тысяч человек, даже больше. Это же невероятно.
I don't know what it'll be there in 6 years, but I think Russia's future is strong. I mean, you're growing. I know some people are uncertain right now because there's some inflation, there's some volatility. That happens in every country. And we forget there are economic cycles. But you got to look at the overall. The overall for Russia has been upward. And I think your system has allowed that process to grow. And I know there's much more growth to happen. There is in my country, there is in every country. So I try to show people that it doesn't matter what's happening over here. You can take control of your own life. You can focus on how to add value. You can focus how to grow your business. And even if the economy is difficult, you can still win. In the American economy, when I started, we had 18% interest rates. We had massive inflation. Everything was falling apart, and that made me stronger. So when the economy's bad, everybody else freaks out, and that gives you an opportunity if you manage your psychology.
Абсолютно с вами согласна. Но есть еще одна вещь, которая очень важна для людей. Это искусственный интеллект. Что вы думаете об искусственном интеллекте, который в будущем во многом может заменить людей? Вот вы ведь работаете с людьми, но искусственный интеллект, как видите, приходит людям на замену. Не боитесь, что вас заменят?
I think artificial intelligence is just going to give us more choices. You know, 200 years ago, 80% of the population, 90% was farmers. And then it changed, now it's, in my country, less than 4%, but we help feed the world because we've gotten better with technology. I'm building an AI right now, one of the most advanced ones in the world, of me.
Really?
It has my motivation to serve, it has a better memory than I do, and it has all my tools and skills. And it can scan your eyes and face and know what you're feeling even better than I do, because they have that facial technology now that can tell me exactly what emotions you're feeling. And then it uses all my tools. So we're in the middle of building it right now. It should be done in about 9 months, the first version of it. But over the next, everyone will have access, because in 5 years, it'll be better than me. In 10 years, I'll be learning from it, because I have every interaction that I've ever done. Did you see my documentary on Netflix?
Ну да, конечно, я не ваш гуру, конечно.
So you saw, I've never lost to suicide. Every one of those I have film of since I was 23 years old. So it's tens of thousands. And so AI learns by machine learning, and they recognize patterns. So I have all of that captured. Plus, when I'm done doing an intervention, I always dictate what worked, what didn't, why I did it. And so all that is going to AI. So my goal is, in the year we'll have the first version, but I think in 3 to 5 years, we'll have a version that anyone could go online and have me one-on-one without me being there, because there's only so much I can do. 26,000 people is wonderful, but like, I've just been on a tour. I'm in 15 cities in 8 countries in 6 weeks. And it's North America, South America, Europe, and I'm going to Serbia for my AI, I'm filming tomorrow, and then I'm going down to Fiji for a little rest at my own resort, and then I'm going to Australia for another big event for 9,000 people for 4 days and nights for 50 hours. So I need some help. So the AI is helpful, but I think people's fear about AI, anything can be abused, and it will be. But if you look at humanity, technology gets abused by some, but it's get used for better. That's what good always wins out. And I think there are going to be a lot of jobs replaced. And I'm worried about that too. I'm working with some people to help in the American government to look at what are the ways. We might need some universal income during the transition, because farmers to today, that was 200 years. But the changes with self-driving cars will displace, in my country, for example, 5 million people will be displaced, because there's 3 million truck drivers and bus drivers and taxi drivers and Uber drivers. And then there's another 2 million that'll be displaced just from the farming community, because we have AIs already that use satellites that do it better than a human can do. So there'll be a lot of jobs displaced. There'll be some disruption. But overall, my advice to people is you have to retool. Don't wait till there's a problem. You gotta say, what's the future? And I need to start training myself for that, because the future is gonna be an amazing place. While you're here, you should be designing your own future.
Вы говорите людям очень много правильных вещей, но после ваших выступлений все себя спрашивают только об одном. Как себя подтолкнуть, Тони? Все, что вы говорите, правильно. Знаете, как у Бриджит Джонс. С завтрашнего дня я это больше не делаю только то, что полезно, каждый день. Но реально, вы вот так живете каждый день.
Right? If you're a martial artist, or if you're a great basketball player, soccer player, you have daily rituals. If you're going to be good, it doesn't just show up. Greatness doesn't show up. It doesn't interrupt you. You have to pursue it. And so if you saw what I do to prepare to be out there, not only mentally, but even physically, it would blow your mind. I do things, I wear a mask that stops my oxygen. I do hot water, cold water. I do oxygen therapy. I do everything so that I can have the power to deliver. But I do that because I have a mission. The people that aren't doing it are only doing it for themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. Life supports whatever supports more of life. So you're part of life. If you want something, life will show you how. But if you're trying to support more than yourself, motive does matter. If you're trying to support your family, it's more than you, so life shows you more of how to do it. If you're trying to support a community, you get more insights. If you're trying to support humanity and it's not bullshit, if you're not, you know what the truth is, then you get different insights. So I'm mission driven, and that's why I use these things, because I have a reason to. If I didn't have a mission, I wouldn't work this hard. I don't need to do this. I don't need to do it for money. I've set for my money for many, many decades. So I'm still doing this because it's what life's about. What else are you going to do with your life? You need something meaningful.
Я так счастлива, что у каждого в будущем будет своя электронная версия Тони Роббинса. Мне кажется, это может быть очень важно. Потому что все хотят с вами поговорить. Вы действительно можете сделать мир лучше, потому что люди, которые к вам приходят, которые одержимы, у них, очевидно, есть некоторые психологические проблемы. Если, может быть, у них будет возможность поговорить с вами, возможно, ночью, наверное, они даже решат свои проблемы. Кто знает, может, вы правда спасете мир.
own communities and help their own countries and help their own world.
You mentioned
Вы
Tolstoy. Which
упомянули
Russians
Толстого. Кого из
maybe?
русских вы еще знаете?
Oh, let's see. Gosh, it's been so long. I mean, obviously, I've studied Lenin and Stalin and everybody else as that process as well. But it's more the Russian people that I've spent time with since I was 23 that have touched my life more than just some famous person per se.
I love
Смотрите, я
sport.
очень люблю
I
спорт. Я,
hugely
правда,
love
очень
sport.
его люблю.
Yeah.
Я знаю, что вы
That's
любите,
why
поэтому важный вопрос.
what is
Какой
your
ваш любимый
favorite
вид
sport
спорта и
and,
кто ваш любимый
favorite
спортсмен?
sports person?
Well, I work with, I don't know if you're familiar with the NBA, but the Golden State Warriors have been the world champions 3 out of 4 years. And I worked with them during that time. And so there's, I don't want to say one player on the team because I work with the whole team. But if you know the team, you know, Draymond and that whole group and some of the greatest shooters in the world, Steph Curry is, to me, just, I love him because he not only is a great player, but he's a good man. You know, he's got so much joy when he plays, you know. And I love soccer, football. I own a team. I own the LAFC, the LA Football Club, and I helped to build the stadium there. It's a brand new team, so I really love that. I actually love hockey. I worked this year with the Washington Capitals, who won the Stanley Cup. So one day I was in Las Vegas and we won the Stanley Cup, and the next day I was in Ohio and we won the NBA championship with the Golden State Warriors against LeBron.
Yeah,
So-
in
В таком
that case
случае
you
вы
have to
должны
know
знать
Ovechkin.
Овечкина.
Oh yes, of course I do. Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
we were. There's a picture of him holding the Stanley Cup, and he and I together celebrating like crazy.
Ну вот второй русский после Толстого, даже трое. Толстой, Овечкин и
I didn't
Горбачев,
think
как
of it
вы
that way. Yes,
знаете.
it's so true. No, he is wonderful, and he is so happy. I've never seen him more happy because he's worked for so many years, and to finally win the Stanley Cup was euphoric. I felt so much joy just seeing his joy. It was just beautiful. Because Washington has gone 42 years without winning
Yeah,
once,
no, yeah.
and
Да, я
so to
знаю.
win was just wonderful.
Tony, thank
Тони,
you.
я
very
должна
much.
I just
сказать
want to say
вам
one more
большое
thing.
спасибо.
That if anyone here wants to do something that you really feel passionate about that's beyond money, and give it a little bit of your time, because it'll bring you so much joy. That joy brings energy, and that energy will make you more successful in life and business. I'm feeding right now. My goal is to feed 1 billion people, 1 billion meals in the next 10 years. I've already done this year, I've done 100 million meals a year. This year will be 400 million meals. So I'm going to do that. I'm planting 100 million trees to make a change. I did 5 million trees this year. I'm providing 250,000 people a day with fresh water in India because kids die of the dirty water. And I tell you this, not to impress you, but impress upon you. I started with, let me feed 2 families. And it's now 1 billion, right? I started with, let me plant 10 trees. I started with, let me help this community build a well. And it's amazing if you have passion what can grow. And all those things give me the energy you see out there also. Because they make me feel like life is so meaningful. It isn't just about me, it's about something bigger. And I hope the people watching will think about what are they most passionate about and pursue it and discipline yourself to learn, to not expect it to work right away. It doesn't work right away. I didn't get here overnight. I got here in 41 years, 4 decades. I always tell people, most people overestimate what they're gonna do in a year. I overestimated in those early days what I did. I didn't do as much as I thought I would, but I underestimated what I could do in a decade or 2 or 3 or 4. And I hope the people watching remember it takes time, but it's all worth it.
Tony, thank you.
Тони,
Would you
спасибо
ever
вам
consider
большое.
running for the
Вы
presidency?
когда-нибудь думали про то, что баллотироваться на пост президента? Пожалуйста, вы должны это
I think I'm
сделать.
better outside of it because I work on both sides of the aisle. I work with presidents who are Republicans and Democrats. I'm more independent. I vote for who I think is the right person, but I work with people everywhere. And if I was in the system, then it becomes this versus that. I don't want to be this versus that. I want to serve everybody rather than being political.
You are too young.
Вы слишком
don't
молоды,
know.
никогда не говорите
Okay, I won't say
никогда.
that. It's been a
Спасибо
pleasure
вам
to
за
meet
ваше
you.
время.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time.
Blessings to you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Скачай бесплатный подарок по ссылке в описании к этому видео.
Если вам понравилось это видео, ставьте лайк, делитесь этим видео с друзьями и обязательно подписывайтесь на этот канал, чтобы регулярно получать лучшие переводы Энтони Роббинса на русском языке. Живите в полную силу, живите со страстью.